All right, welcome in. Day 4 of the NCAA tournament is in the books. We got some madness today, folks.
Good
the Sweet 16 is set, and for the first time in 3 years, we will have a new national champion. Down goes UConn. What a game against Florida to start us off. A ton to talk about. First, before we get to all that, I want to talk about American Home Shield. What do your March Madness brackets and your home appliances and systems have in common? They both tend to get busted. Now, as a benefit with select American Home Shield warranty plans, you can conveniently video chat with a live repair expert to help assess or fix an issue. Talk about having home protection to the next. Talk about taking, home protection to the next level. And thanks to American Home Shield, we are able to video chat in Big Cat to get an expert assist as you pick your favorite teams for the 2025 tournament. Look at this.
Anyone has come to a perfect March Madness bracket was in 2019 when an Ohio man predicted the first 49 games correctly, a record that still stands. Greg Nigel, a neurologist from Columbus, Ohio, set the record, but his streak ended when Purdue defeated Tennessee in the 50th game of the tournament.
How about that?
Thank you, Big Cat.
Thank you for that note, Big Cat.
Great note.
My goodness. We're here to help prevent a busted bracket, just like American Home Shield is here to help with a busted home appliance or system. This is where our friends at American Home Shield come in. When you have an American Home Shield warranty, they will help fix or replace covered parts of home systems and appliances no matter their age. Plus, as a benefit with select plans, AHS offers a convenient video chat feature that lets you connect with a live repair expert to help assess or even fix a home issue in real time. Listeners can get 20% off any plan today. Just visit ahs.com/Titus to sign up. Don't wait until something is busted. Get ahead of home repairs with AHS. Go to ahs.com/Titus for 20% off any plan today. See ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including limited amounts, fees, limitations, and exclusions. AHS, American Home Shield. You need that? All right.
Please.
Let's talk some madness, man. What a day. Derek Queen is the hero for Maryland against Colorado State. Big travel controversy for that one. Jalen Lake hits the big shot for Colorado State to put them up, and then Derek Queen hits the game winner. We had that game. We had Caleb Love. We just saw go nuts. He wants Duke so badly, doesn't he? He wants, oh my God, he's licking his lips for a shot at Duke. Caleb Love goes nuts. Arizona beats Oregon. Ole Miss hangs 91 on an Iowa State team that is supposed to be good defensively. Ole Miss is supposed to be more of a defensive-minded team. They could not miss. Hey, first Sweet 16 for the Rebels since 2001. Wow, would you look at that? Kentucky turns over Illinois, 14 steals for the Wildcats. They're on to the Sweet 16 as well. MSU hangs on. Michigan State did not play particularly well against New Mexico, but limited transition opportunities. They win. Bama St. Mary's is one of the most boring games I've watched all season, but Bama marches on. What a day it was. Where do we start? I mean, I think it's either Florida, UConn, or Derek Queen being the hero, although this game we just watched was awesome as well.
This was an excellent display of what we've talked about the last couple of days, which is, hey, not a lot of upsets, but it's going to give us great games going forward. I think you got to start with the champs going down.
I think so, too. I think Florida being a trendy pick to win the national title, the team that everyone seemed to be saying is like the hottest team in the country. Auburn is the – I don't know. All number one seeds have a case to be like quote unquote the team. Auburn had the best year. I think Duke has the most talent. Is the favorite in Vegas. Florida's the hottest, and Houston's just steady as can be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Houston is like we're crushing everybody we're playing. And I know Gonzaga made it a game of it, but Houston has just been on an absolute tear for a while now. So you have the defending champs going up against a Florida team that is a very trendy pick to win the national championship and very well might. And UConn, I'll tip my cap, man. The Huskies have been a disaster more often than not this season playing defense. I thought this was the best defense they played all season. They were locked the fuck in. And Dan Hurley, who we'll talk about for other reasons here in a second, as much as I have problems here and there with Dan Hurley's off-court behavior, at times on-court behavior, which like isn't even – when I say I have problems, I don't mean I'm clutching my pearls saying like this man needs to be reprimanded. I just say he's kind of a douchebag. Mm-hmm. He's just kind of a douchebag. As much as I have those issues, and I like to point out that he's a crybaby and a whiner and all that sort of thing, the man can coach a basketball team, and he got his boys absolutely locked in to a level that I have not seen at all this season from UConn, and it felt for a while that you're like, one, UConn's going to win this, but two, he just might be the greatest March coach ever. Are we about to just see a run of Dan Hurley? Not that, I mean, even if UConn won today, I don't think I'm like coming in here saying they're going to win the title again, but I would have I would have like really elevated. It sounds crazy that he's not already elevated, having won 2 titles, but I think like this is the kind of situation where it takes a guy from where he's at to like the stratosphere of all-time greats of like, how the fuck did you beat this Florida team with this UConn team that can't guard?
Am I crazy in saying this, Mark? He's a back-to-back defending national champion. They've covered every single game. They've kicked the shit out of everyone. Would today have been a more impressive coaching performance?
Yes,
than
I
going
think so.
back to back?
I think so. I think it would have. And the 4 seed, so 2 years ago when they won the title, they were a 4 seed, so like that was an unexpected run. But at the same time, if you go back and you look at that run, they weren't playing a team of Florida's caliber that they're playing right now. Last year they did. They were the 1 seed, and then they meet Purdue in the champion. Like, you know, I'm not downplaying either title run, but this game was the first time in the last 3 NCAA tournaments where UConn was definitively not as good as the team they were playing. Like, that was clear as day. Even like the most diehard UConn fan going into this game will tell you Florida's better than us. And yet they outplayed them for most of the game. And you know, down the stretch, Walter Clayton was the hero. 3 just the exact same shot. 3 shots going to his right. Big Cat told me in the cave he was getting Jamal Murray vibes, and I didn't hate that. That's like a Jamal Murray shot going to his right, like sort of slightly fading away. Probably a bad shot for most people, but not for a guy who's practiced it a million times. And Walter Clayton hits 3 of them. Florida's offense was just like clunky at times. I think Florida, the thing that's holding me back from being as excited about Florida as I am about Duke is sort of the same thing that I think Auburn struggles with at times. Is when I watch Florida, the talent is evident. The multiple weapons that can just ruin you are evident. You know, like Alex Condon didn't even do much today, and Alex Condon is going to be a first-round pick maybe in the NBA draft. And we saw against Bama, like he had a monster game, and he's a guy that can go for 20 and 10 on any given night. Florida has a ton of weapons. They have depth. They bring in big guys off the bench. They bring in shooters. They have everything. What I don't love sometimes is, one, their defensive intensity, which you saw for long stretches in this game, and then they locked the fuck in towards the end of the game, and it was like you could just feel it. You could just feel the intensity ramp up. Somewhere around like right after the under 8 timeout, they looked up and they were like, oh, yeah, UConn's just not going to go away. We have to like really sit down and guard now. And I worry about that a little bit with them, and I have throughout the year. And the other thing is sometimes the offense, if I want to get lazy, I would call it my turn basketball. I don't think they suffer from that too much, but there are times where it's just like they feel they take some heat check shots. That's been a criticism I had of Walter Clayton at times, is like he'll take some dumb shots here and there, and I think that like seeps into the whole team. And I felt like that was what was happening throughout the game. One, they weren't like committing to playing defense. They weren't approaching this game saying we're going to win this on the defensive end. They were saying we're going to win this by outscoring UConn because our offense is better than theirs. And then when they were playing on the offensive side, I felt like they were not disciplined, and it was a lot of like, you know, Walter Clayton has been playing out of his mind, as good as anybody in the country lately, and Will Richard gets hot, and Elijah Martin has been dunking on everybody, and I think all of these guys like entered this game on a proverbial heat check. And it just felt like the offense wasn't flowing in the way that it should. And, you know, thankfully down the stretch, they locked in on the defensive end. Walter Clayton hit some insane shots. Mm-hmm. And then every time they went to the free throw line and missed, they seemed to get the offensive rebound. And that was kind of the formula for the win. I still believe in Florida. How could you not? And winning a national championship. But I think today was hopefully the like, you know, grab them and shake them a little bit, because, you know, if you're someone that's been listening to the show all year and you're wondering why I'm sucking off Duke like crazy and I'm not these SEC teams, I would say it's the approach more than anything else. One, I think Duke probably has, and I don't think they probably do. They do. They have more NBA talent, and I think that jumps out at you immediately. But I think when you're watching like Duke right now, they are locked the fuck in to a level that for 40 minutes, every second they're on the floor. I would say Houston even though they almost squandered that lead against Gonzaga. And when I watch Auburn and Florida, it's not that I don't think they're not as good. It's that I don't know where their head's at times. Mm-hmm. And I felt that with Florida today, because it just wasn't – UConn was playing really, really well, but I think Florida's approach was a little bit off, and they fixed it, and they saved it in the end. And hopefully moving forward we see – you know, we don't get these scares from them.
And let's call it what it is, too. Florida, for this huge scare that they had to win by 2, they shot 50% from the three-point line.
Yeah.
You talk to UConn fans, the first thing they're going to point out, and I think it comes down to coaching, they played incredible defense. And also their big three of Alex Caravan, 2 of 9 from 3. Solo Ball, 2 of 9 from 3. Liam McNeely, 2 of 8 from 3. UConn walks away from this saying, boys, if we could have shot better than 27% from the three-point line, we would have pulled off this upset.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm not out on Florida. I thought the three-headed monster, they still have the guards.
You can't be out on Florida,
right.
yeah. But
today was about Danny Hurley still got it. And he rallied.
And they were right there, man.
Brought
yeah,
there was afterwards.
Like the set they like to run with the dribble handoff to Clayton, and then he goes right and hits the shots. Like that was like the same play they ran 3 times and he scored. But then he had one like late where he tried to throw the skip pass, and it was just like the laziest like hook. And if I could, I'm obviously overreacting. I'm picking nits. I understand that, but like I would say that's the kind of play where if I fall into a coma and you wake me up, in 6 months and I ask you who won the national championship, and I was like, did Florida do it? And you're like, no, they didn't. They lost along the way. They didn't make the Final Four. I would immediately know that it was like plays like that, where it's just like you're too talented to be making these boneheaded plays. But at the same time, I think that's what makes Walter Clayton so good, is that he's just kind of free flowing out there and he's willing to take any shot. And so far he hasn't been a liability. In fact, it was the opposite. Like even though it was a bad pass, it was the exact same set that he hit the 3 shots and saved the day. But I just want to see more locking in from Florida.
You've been onto that too. Like if you were to take all 4 number 1 seeds are still obviously in the Sweet 16, obviously the heavy favorites. We called it. It was going to be chalk. It's been chalk in that aspect. The difference is Houston and Duke versus Auburn and Florida. Who throws the over-the-head pass?
Yeah.
This side.
Who's a little loosey-goosey at times, and who's not completely bought in defensively every possession. And it's not to say Duke and Houston get stops every possession, or they don't have any miscommunications on possessions, or they have dumb turnovers too. I just think that like when you watch those 2 teams, like the mindset does feel a little bit different. How much that matters, I don't know. Whether there's an attitude adjustment between now and the Sweet 16 with Auburn and Florida, that can happen. We see it time and time again. Like teams win national championships and they have close calls along the way. Like that's what this event is. So like I'm not selling my Auburn and Florida stock, but I think that would be just an example as to why if you've been I'll say it again, if you've been listening to the show and you're like you seem to love Duke, but you're not, why are you cooling off on Florida or Auburn? I'm not. Like I still think they are elite. It's just stuff like that. It's today's game is a good example because let's be honest, like Florida should have crushed UConn. Like you said, they did not shoot well from 3. UConn didn't even come close to playing their best basketball. They did defensively. I thought they were great defensively, and but Florida had a lot of very, very stupid turnovers. But yeah, they march on and we're going to get a new national champion. New national champion. But we got to talk before we move on to other games. We got to talk about Dan Hurley in the tunnel. The tunnel and also the tunnel video. The tears. The histrionics from Dan Hurley.
So I'm sure everyone's seen the tunnel, but just to set it in motion, they had just lost a game, and the narrative is clearly, wow, they didn't belong on the same court as Florida, but they took them right to the brink, and they almost had them. You would think that Dan Hurley, ultimate competitor, kind of walks off the court, chest held high, being like, not
like we won. I don't think he would do that, but like he would be like, we gave it our all, boys. Yeah, this will happen in sports sometimes. You'll give it your all and you'll come up short.
I truly thought egomaniac Dan Hurley was going to take that as like a moral, like, I'm the only one that could have taken this team to push them to the brink. Oh, no. Egomaniac Dan Hurley walks off the court, and they've got Baylor getting ready to take the court for the next game.
Yeah.
And he refers to them as Baylor, and he goes, hopefully they don't fuck you like they fucked us, Baylor. And then everyone's like, what? He repeats, hopefully they don't fuck you like they fucked us, Baylor. Hopefully they don't fuck you like they fucked us.
I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with Dan Hurley, Tate. Help me through this, because
you're in a tough spot.
He's a douchebag. He's an asshole. We all know this. UConn fans will tell you that, and then their whole thing is like he's our douchebag and asshole, and you're just jealous. You just hate him because you're jealous and whatever. I don't understand. Like if you go to a professional wrestling show and the guy who's the bad guy comes out and says this, they're doing a show in Wichita, and he comes out and he's like, all you Wichita fat asses and you rednecks, you're all poor and terrible people. They're going to boo him because that's how the show works, right? I think Dan Hurley is the heel in college basketball. That's the role he's playing. That's the role he seems to want to play. That's the role UConn fans want him to play. So then I feel like it's my, not even just me, but like the rest of us, we're watching this and we're saying, all right, you're the heel. You suck. We don't like you. But then somewhere along the line, like UConn fans take offense to that, and then they get upset about that, and they're like, "You, why do you hate him? You hate him because he's not your coach." And then, like, I don't know. I'm very, very confused as to where we're at. There's so many layers to this that then you get upset that Dan Hurley is bitching at the refs when his team couldn't score a field goal for 5 fucking minutes, and they just completely choked. They just completely choked down the stretch. That's on you, Dan. That's on you and your boys. That has nothing to do with the refs. And I'll tell you what, even if they are calling fouls on your guys, Florida's going to the free throw line. With they missing the free throws, the refs aren't the ones grabbing the rebound. It's Florida. Your guys aren't boxing out. You're the one that was yelling at dudes in Maui about boxing out. Now your boys aren't boxing out. This is on you, Dan, you son of a bitch.
I love it.
That's what it is. But then you say all that, and then UConn fans get fired up because you're fired up. But the whole point of Dan Hurley existing is to get me fired up. And I don't even know. And then now I'm getting fired up at the UConn fans are getting fired up that I'm getting fired up. And I don't know. Where does this end, Tate? Where does this end? I don't know.
You're in a tough spot because, correct me if I'm wrong, I've done this show with you for almost a year now. You think Dan Hurley is a great basketball coach.
He's a great basketball coach. He motivates his guys. The sets UConn run are beautiful. I've said that for 2 years now. UConn wins the national title, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I love this team. I love watching them play basketball when they're playing good basketball. But the guy, like if the guy was coaching anywhere else, every UConn fan would have a problem with it. I walk into the cave, Big Cat's like laughing at. He's like, Dan Hurley, man, he's the man. And I'm thinking, if we saw a video of Coach K walking off the floor after losing in the second round of the NCAA tournament, and he said to the team walking into the tunnel, I hope they don't fuck you like they fucked us. The college. I think they would. I think the whole tournament would pause because all of college basketball media would take like the next 6 months to kill Coach K, and we should, Tate, because it's a douchebag thing to do. That's the point. So when coaches do this stuff, you're gonna call it out, and I don't know. I don't know how UConn fan like it's like insane. You guys lost. You lost. Your team did it. Your coach blew it. You guys choked. Great effort. Try harder next year, and maybe you'll get back into winning a national championship.
It has to be said that if Dan Hurley is going to 2 rings Baldy when he wins, and then refs fucked us when we lost, and we're never going back to MTEs when we lose, he is a polarizing figure that is getting us to talk about him, to start off the show and raise our voice and everything. But UConn fans, he's a great coach. The best in the sport right now, even though it must be noted. How many Sweet 16s?
He's been to 2 Sweet 16s. He's been to 2 Sweet 16s. That's as many as I've.
That's just a fact, right?
That's just a fact. 2 Sweet 16s, yeah.
He's a polarizing figure. He wins with 0 class. He loses with 0 class. He's a great basketball coach.
Right.
That's why we're talking about him.
Yeah, and I don't want him fired. I don't want him disciplined. I don't want him anything. I just want, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, no, that was cool, man. You losing and then saying, I hope they don't fuck you like they fucked us. That was pretty sweet, and that was a very cool thing.
How's the national media?
You're a loser.
How are people going to react to the refs fucked us? Because you hit the nail on the head. Whoever says that, depending on how popular or liked that is the whiniest, loserist mentality. Like if you pick someone that's not popular in basketball and they say that person is chastised for the rest of time.
Especially, at what point did they fuck? Like, what? At no point was I watching that game thinking like Florida's getting favorable. What are you talking about? It was an incredible game, by the way. It was a great way to start the day. Shots being made left and right. UConn stopped making them down the stretch, but like there were so many big moments. There was so much you could just feel the tension slowly building.
So fun.
Like I said, like Florida, like kind of flipped the switch a little bit where they're like, we got to guard in a way that we haven't been so far. It was just a great basketball game, and UConn's going nowhere. They'll be good next year, I'm sure, and Dan Hurley will have a great team, and they'll be awesome offensively. I'll enjoy watching them, and then he'll say some shit, and I'll be like,
and we'll talk about it.
You're kind of being a dumb bitch, Dan, and then UConn fans will get all upset, and that'll be the song and dance I guess we're just gonna do moving forward.
Are we on the same page? Looking back, thank God he didn't take the Lakers.
Don't do this.
No, am I wrong?
Do this with me.
I don't care. I know you've got your whole theory and everything. My point is like,
I'm glad he's still in college basketball. I'm glad he didn't take the job that he was definitely on.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking this. You're telling me this guy that can't lose a game without saying the refs fucked him and can't win a game without yelling ball. Guess what happens in the NBA? You win some, you lose some. The Cavs are the best team in the NBA. They've lost 4 in a row. This dude is a teenage girl with his emotions.
Yeah.
And he's built to boss kids around and bully his. He told Luke Murray to shut up today on the sideline.
I saw that.
He is not built. God, I wish he would have taken the Lakers job and tried to tell LeBron to shut up.
Yeah. If only he was offered it,
We need. I need Jack Mack.
Like,
calling out
Jack
Mack.
Can we look back on that story and call it what it was?
Jack Mack's the number one.
It was Woj helping his guy out for a renegotiation for a raise. I mean, that was obvious from the start, right? Sham said it's going to J.J. Redick. Woj stepped in, said no, it's not. Dan Hurley. Whoop, okay, never mind. It is J.J. Redick in the end. I don't know. I'm the only one that sees these things. Anyway, Florida UConn, great game. Florida marches on. We almost had a 1 seed go down, which would have been absolutely insane, especially if UConn was the one to pull it off. We thought that was going to be the most madness we saw of the day. Maybe not. Maybe you didn't think that. Maybe you were optimistic. But I thought, I left that game. I was like, honestly, if that was the high point of the day, that's a pretty good high point. And then we get the Derek Queen shot, the Colorado State Maryland game, which was a great basketball game. Colorado State was so good, man. They're so well coached. Nico Medved is going to cause so many problems in the Big Ten at Minnesota, which I assume is what's going to happen now. Minnesota needs a head coach. He's from Minnesota. Makes sense to me. I assume he's going to be the next head coach of Minnesota. But yeah, Nick Clifford was absolutely great in this game. Jalen Lake hits the big shot at the end. They call the timeout, and Nick Clifford throws a skip pass. Jalen Lake hits the shot. I mean, we all saw it. But it all comes down to the Derek Queen tough shot. And people immediately go to the slow motion and say travel and say it should not have counted. And I got to say this, Tate, I am very much a travel guy. Mm-hmm. I don't love it, but my eyes go immediately to calling travels on plays like this. I didn't think it was a travel. I didn't. I thought live it wasn't a travel. I watched it back in real time. I didn't think it in full speed. I didn't think it was a travel. When you go slow-mo and you pause the frame and the ball looks like he's collected it and one of his feet are down and then he takes 2 more steps, that feels like a travel. I understand the argument. I never got a feeling that this was a travel, and I'm very much a travel guy. I understand that that's a very unpopular opinion. I understand that people watching this or listening to this are going to lose their mind and be like, "How can you say that? I thought you knew ball." I'm just sharing my opinion. I think more often than not in these cases, I notice a travel when people don't want it to call it a travel, and I don't know. I must be living in a bizarro world on this one because I saw it in real time. I was like, I don't think he's fully collected the ball. And I think it comes down to that issue. And I know Gene Steratore, a lot of people don't like him at this point because I ranted about Gene last night. To be clear, that wasn't about Gene and how good he is at his job or anything else. It was just I'm seeing too much of him. I'm just at a point where I realized if they were to make the One Shining Moment video right now, I think Gene Steratore would be in half of it. And I was like, I just don't want to see Gene Steratore anymore. But during the Oregon-Arizona game, Jalen Rose just point blank asked him, was it a travel? And he explained what I kind of saw, which was he didn't fully the travel starts when you've picked up your dribble, and then it becomes ambiguous as to what you decide is the moment that the dribble has been picked up. Now the NBA has the gather step. College does not have that, but it is sort of written into the rules that once you pick up your dribble, you get the 2 steps or whatever, and then it just becomes ambiguous as to where the dribble is picked up. And in Gene's mind, which for a lot of people doesn't count because Gene just carries water for the refs and whatever they call, he'll back it up, and I understand that. But Gene kind of explained what I saw, which was yes, he was in the process of picking up the dribble, but I didn't see it as he had fully picked up the dribble. You know what I mean? And then from the moment where I was like, okay, now he's picked up his dribble, he took 1, 2, 1.5 and shot the ball. So for me, it wasn't a travel. I understand why people thought it was. I'm not arguing. I'm not even doing the argument of I thought it was a travel, but you can't call that there. Mm-hmm. I do think that if it was a travel, you call it. I just didn't think it was a travel, and I say that as a guy that was. I was probably cheering for Colorado State a little bit. I thought it was cool how they fought back. Jalen Lake hits the shot. I thought the whole story is awesome. We don't have really any Cinderellas. I mean, Arkansas kind of is, but they by being a 10 seed. But can a John Calipari team ever really be a Cinderella? So that would have been a nice story for the tournament to have one little team like that chugging along. So yeah, I feel for Colorado State fans. If that happened to my team, of course I would probably see it differently. But that's how I saw it, Tate. I saw it as not a travel. And more than anything else, I side with John Fanta, who made a rant video where he was just we've all been waiting for madness. We finally get it, and the second we get it, everyone's just like slow-mo screenshotting shit and being like, well, this shouldn't have been madness. And it's like, what are we doing?
Well, I hope everyone's happy. I hope the NCAA is happy. I hope that the people that as soon as anything goes out of bounds, they all start swinging their fingers around in a circle are happy, because that's what we had. We had an all-time NCAA moment in a tournament where we're starved for any sort of action down the stretch. We had a true buzzer beater that gets called in 0.0.0.0% of
That's
games.
too many points. That's not even a number.
That's not even a number.
Not even a number. That's like the Dewey Decimal System.
That's how often they call that
I was doing
live.
the Dewey Decimal
Hey,
System.
bro, get to your point. You know what I mean?
Fuck you, Cody.
Cody's warming up.
Yeah, Jesus. My point is, no one calls that live. And then our takeaway is, let's zoom it in and see when he started the gather step. And then everyone's saying, and yeah, I guess technically, in my opinion, my interpretation of the rules, there is no gather step in college basketball.
Yeah.
Once he picks it up, he's not supposed to get 2 full steps. He does travel. If you call that, Mark Titus, it is a national outrage.
Yeah.
That you thought someone, because remember, you can't review travel. So the ref would have had to have called that live. And if he comes in and he goes, I got to travel.
Yeah.
That they're throwing, Georgia's football fans are throwing stuff onto the field from Athens. That's how that would have been.
Yeah.
So everyone's saying that it's a travel, because Twitter trolls right now are just like travel. They would be out on the exact opposite side if it was called a travel.
Yeah.
They would be roasting.
Yeah, probably.
the officials.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to like when you felt like the dribble was picked up, and that's really it. And I felt like it was not like defined as like there's the line of okay, now his dribble has been picked up, and there is a point in the process where you lock in on that and you say, and that's what slow-mo affords you, is like not picked up, like frame by frame, not picked up, freeze it right there. That's where he picked it up. All right, now let's count this. But I thought in real time it looked good. It didn't stand out to me. I rewatched it in live speed or whatever you would, real speed, and I just didn't think it was a travel. And a lot of people disagree, and we'll move on because I'm just saying the same shit over and over about the play at this point, But tip of the cap to Colorado State, dude. That was a hell of a game. They had Maryland on the ropes. Maryland had to claw back into it, and I'm fired up for the Florida Maryland game. I'm fired up for all these Sweet 16 matchups, but. Colorado State, like I wasn't cheering for. I'm excited that Maryland's moving on, but I also wanted Colorado State to move on. I'm starting to get to like that point of the tournament where it's like you don't want anybody to really lose. All of this is fun. We're getting so much good basketball. I think all the games today were great. But yeah, Colorado State was a very fun team, very well coached team, and they deserve to win. But that's this event.
I'm excited.
Sometimes the bounce doesn't go your way, and you got to go home, and that's why we love it. Is in a blink of an eye and a snap of a finger, it goes the other way. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, all that sort of shit gets condensed down to these moments, and we get to watch it all unfold in live television. What's better than that? So anyway, shout out Colorado State, hell of a season, and you're probably going to lose your coach and your best player.
Thanks for your time, though.
And that's what this sport is. Next game I want to talk about is the one we just got done watching, Arizona, Oregon. Caleb Love went, but how many points did he finish?
He ended up with 29 points, 5 of 7 from the 3-point line.
He was insane. He was so good.
He also had 9 rebounds.
He was playing the game of his life, and one can't help but look ahead and think, did this man have Duke on the mind, on the brain? Was he thinking, I'm already looking ahead to that game, and I know they already played this year, and Duke beat them by 14, I think, in Tucson, and it stands to reason that Duke will do the same on the neutral court now. First of all, that was a long time ago. Duke has gotten a lot better. Arizona's gotten a lot better, I think. So I don't put a ton of stock in that, although Duke will rightfully be favored, and Duke's playing better basketball, I think, right now. But if Caleb Love can pull this upset off, it won't just be him, but let's be honest, it probably will be him. Like, Caleb Love is going to shoot like 25 times at least in this game. How many did he shoot tonight? 18? He's getting 25 shots up against Duke. If he can end Coach K's career in the Final Four, and the only game we've ever gotten between Carolina and Duke, and then he beats what I believe to be the best Duke team in at least 10 years, if not more, if he can end their season in the Sweet 16, because I do not see a world where Caleb Love goes into this game with anything on the mind other than I'm going to be the hero. And sometimes that works out. It worked out tonight. Other times he'll shoot Arizona out of the game. But But I could not be more excited for that game, for that storyline, for the idea of Caleb Love. If he can pull off those two upsets and have, like, I understand he's a roller coaster player. He's had some very high highs. He's had some really low lows. He's someone that gets put on preseason All-American teams, but not so often on postseason All-American teams. But if that ends up being his legacy, holy fucking shit! If he has those two bullet points,
he
deserves a statue somewhere
to quite literally own that program.
Yeah.
I'm interested though. So that was 2022 was when he ruined Coach K's
That's right.
career. This is 2025. Would there be? I guess I'm interested because the nucleus of this Duke team was like in ninth grade at the time.
No, funny enough, the only guy I remember would be Jeremy Roach, who was on Baylor, who Duke beat today.
So
who else was on that team? No, I don't think so.
So I guess my point.
Caleb Foster's a sophomore. Yeah, I think all of them are including the head coach. They've all been. I mean, Shire was on staff, but they got a new head coach and a whole roster of players.
And not that it matters. It's obviously not the number one thing that they're like, hey, we can't let this guy beat us or anything. But these guys have no animosity towards, Caleb Love used to be the rival, and now we're playing for Duke. We're playing for Coach K. Well, they were like in 8th grade at the time. So, but Caleb Love remembers, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. He was great tonight, and that's the Caleb Love you fall in love with is what you saw tonight, and the guy that scares the shit out of. Like, Duke fans, they have they're the favorite to win this thing. Like, they're the favorite, just straight up. You are the favorite, and they've been playing unbelievably well. Like, they just completely crushed Baylor today. It was like professional almost. Just how ho hum the entire. I know Baylor was hanging around for stretches in the first half. The defense is just absolutely suffocating. It was pretty funny to watch we were watching the second half in the cave, and to just watch guys who probably haven't watched a lot of Duke, just like Jerry just making comments to me at different times. He's like, God damn, how many guys does Duke have? Are they that deep? And I'm like, yeah, Jerry, they are. They're that deep. Like, everybody that sees the court is really, really good. And everybody is really tall and has long arms and suffocating defense. They're playing as well as anybody, obviously. And if you're a Duke fan, you gotta believe this is a national title team, obviously. But at the same time, I don't know how you're not shitting your pants at the thought of Caleb Love just going nuts against you.
What's your gut tell you, though?
You've seen it before. Of course your gut tells you Duke's going to win.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, I would love to see Caleb Love come out and just have like an all-time performance, but also he has like the ability to go full.
No, right, that's what I'm saying. Of course, like, there's a way higher probability that Caleb Love goes 4 for 23 in this
Duke
game.
just runs
and just like
Duke
Duke blows him out. But there is a chance, and every Duke fan knows that, and it's got to terrify you. And if Arizona pulls off the upset of Duke, every single team that's going to play Arizona is going to be scared of. But it's not just Caleb Love. Like, it's not a one-man show. Like, the whole roster is playing well. They're all scoring. Arizona's offense is really, really good. They shot 50% tonight against Oregon. We're in a big hole. Oregon jumped out to a 19-4 lead, and Arizona comes digging back and. They got length. They're playing decent defense. Arizona's playing really, really well. They had a great showing, I thought, in the Big 12 tournament as well, and they're kind of hot right now. So that's going to be a great game. But shout out Caleb Love for giving us not only tonight but also setting up. We got a Caleb Love game tonight in the NCAA tournament, which it will always mean something to those of us that remember that 2022 Final Four game. But then we're getting the setup for the Duke rematch, and I'm very, very excited.
Titus, you got to say it was fun tonight. So it's midnight out here in the Central Time Zone. It's 1 a.m. on the East Coast. We just got done watching Oregon and Arizona. Yeah, and I know it's Big 10, whatever now, but my goodness,
Pac-12 after dark.
Wasn't that little Pac-12 after dark there?
Shout out Bill Walton looking down on the Pac-12 after dark we got tonight. I want to talk about Venmo. We'll talk about some of these other games here in a second, but Venmo, we got Venmo with us all throughout March. We could not be more excited for it. Sign up for the Venmo debit card in seconds and add your card instantly to Apple Pay or Google Pay to use your balance right away with no monthly fee and no minimum balance requirement. Earn up to 5% cash back at top brands when you shop with the Venmo debit card. Whether you're splitting the bar tab or snacks for the watch party at home, use Venmo debit card for the game day assist. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Dosh offer terms apply. Start spending your Venmo balance instantly with the Venmo debit card. Sign up today at venmo.com/card/apply. Other games to talk about. Kentucky was so impressive defensively against Illinois. Illinois had 14 turnovers, Tate. 14 turnovers in this game. Of those 14, how many do you think were steals? Take a guess. How many of the 14 were steals, live ball steals?
I would have to think 12.
14 of them.
Really?
All of them. Every single turnover Kentucky forced, which I didn't believe, but yeah, that's what the box score I'm looking at says. Yeah, they were getting out in passing lanes, getting some runouts. They Lamont Butler being healthy for them just makes such a world of difference. He's so good defensively. But Kentucky shot 8 for 21 from 3, which is just like a ho-hum performance. But the story of this game was they forced 14 turnovers, but not just 14 turnovers. It was 14 live ball
Which
steals,
then
turns into action on the other end.
They really just controlled this game.
They did.
This was on our side TV out there, and it never really got to the point where like, hey boys, we need to lock in on this, because it was. I know they won by 9, but it was a pretty good performance by the Wildcats.
Yeah, Kobe Brea was great. Lamont Butler, like I said, it's funny trying to observe this Kentucky season through the eyes of the Kentucky fans I know, or like Kentucky fans online or whatever else, because at this point, Otega Owe is their best player. I think that's kind of undisputed. But then they are a team that has all these different layers of like Jackson Robinson's obviously out for the year, and we're not going to see him again. But he was probably their most talented player. But then Lamont Butler might be their most important player. But you just keep doing that down the line. Kobe Brea is their X factor, and it's like every single guy matters so much. But then no individual guy matters too much, because they're so balanced and so deep, and they've seemingly every guy on the roster has been hurt this year. And at various points throughout the season, I early on I thought Kentucky might be Final Four good. I thought they might be national championship good when I wanted to get carried away a little bit. Then I kind of cooled off and settled into like, if they make the Sweet 16, I think that's a successful season. I still think that Kentucky's beaten Tennessee twice. So yeah, of course, if you're a Kentucky fan, you're like, we can beat them a third time. Why not? We've already done it twice. But if they do lose to Tennessee, I still think that that this was a hell of a year. Year one for Mark Pope. I saw a stat. I think Norlander put this out that I think it was Norlander. Even if it wasn't, shout out Norlander. That Kentucky's the first team to return 0 points from last year's team. 0. Not a single point was returned from last year's team and make the Sweet 16.
Wow.
First time ever in NCAA tournament history. And here's the thing about the Mark-Titus-show. That doesn't even have to be true.
That's a pretty sure. That's
just a pretty sure. That's just a pretty sure. It doesn't even have to be true. Maybe I made that up. What do you got, Cody?
That's true.
That's true? Was it Norlander?
Matt Jones.
Oh, it was Matt Jones?
Shout
Got
out.
my Matts mixed up. Shout out Matt Jones as well.
How do you feeling about round 3?
Yeah,
Tough to beat a team
it's
3
tough
times.
to beat a team 3 times. I feel like Tennessee's got like more juice right now, and but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. What's the spread? I would say Tennessee's favored by what, 3.5?
Tennessee's favored by 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
After losing twice, home and away.
I think I have to lean Tennessee, because not even because it's hard to win 3 times. I just think Tennessee's like playing a little bit better right now. I think Tennessee, like the issues with the offense have been not, you don't want to ever say they're completely solid, but like we talked about last night, like they're shooting the ball well, they're scoring the ball well. They have multiple guys who are doing it. And the defense is still as elite as it ever was. So I think I'm leaning Tennessee, but Lamont Butler's great, man, and him being back has kind of changed Kentucky. And yeah, I don't know. Kentucky is playing well too. It's gonna be a great fucking game. It's gonna be a great fucking game. I think that's my official preview of every game. Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say the Sweet 16. So Sweet 16. This is the first time in however many years that it's all power conference teams. We have set ourselves up. Every game looks like a banger, but I would say this Kentucky-Tennessee rematch is my game of the Sweet 16.
What do we got conference-wise? 7 SEC, 4 Big 10, 4 Big 12, and 1 ACC. Is that right?
And no Big East.
And no Big East. Big East is out. We thought we were getting a Mountain West. We thought we might get 2 Mountain West. New Mexico hanging around with Michigan State. The story to me was transition points. I mean, these are 2 teams that love to get out and run and score in transition, and Michigan State was doing great defensively, stopping New Mexico from doing that, and I thought they were getting out in transition and scoring because they were not shooting the ball well. Jace Richardson was really bad offensively, but this is why you believe in this Michigan State team if you are someone who chooses to believe in them, is games like this. Is like you understand kind of the same thing I said about St. John's. Like you understand that they can't shoot, quote unquote, but they do everything else so well, and they also are aware of their flaws shooting. And also, for a team that can't shoot, they have what they have that St. John's doesn't is they do have reliable shooters. Now, Jace Richardson was not good tonight, but he is a guy that can shoot the basketball, and you can't just like back off of him and go under screens and dare him to beat you from three. And Jaden Akins steps into him and hit like one big three. I forget the time and score, but he hit a big one as New Mexico was making a comeback tonight. So I thought this was like a quintessential Michigan State win where like it was kind of ugly, but they played physical. They weren't great defensively, I didn't think early, but they ratcheted it up down the stretch. They got out in transition as they often do. And and Jace Richardson made plays down the stretch. Jeremy Fears is so funny. He's like making great defensive plays and then immediately kind of being a bozo on the offensive end. But you live with it because that's what got this team this far. And it sets up a fascinating matchup with Ole Miss, who I thought was a defensive-minded team. I thought that was kind of their MO. But my God, they couldn't miss tonight against Iowa State. They ran Iowa State out of the gym. It was a blowout, 91 points on an Iowa State team that I understand this Iowa State team is not as good defensively as the past few years has been for TJ Otzelberger, but it's still like this is a defensive-minded Iowa State team. I thought this was going to be more of a slugfest of sorts, and it was just not. Like Ole Miss is rolling right now.
It was really not ever close in that game, and now I'm super excited. Tom Izzo did what Tom Izzo does, and that's, they didn't shoot well. They don't shoot great, whatever. They doubled them up on the offensive glass. They had single-digit turnovers. Yeah, that's how you win in March. I think they're running into an obviously incredible coach in Chris Beard.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
It'll be fascinating.
Ole Miss, Michigan State, it's actually your closest spread of the week next week.
Really? That doesn't surprise me. Let me guess second closest. Houston's probably a pretty sizable favorite over Purdue. I would say
that's your biggest with Duke, Arizona.
Duke, Arizona. What's Duke, Arizona?
They're both 8.5.
They're both 8.5. Auburn, Michigan's probably a sizable spread, even though Michigan has a horseshoe up their ass and will probably keep it close. And is Kentucky, Tennessee the closest?
4.5.
It is Kentucky,
and
Tennessee.
Then
that's the closest. Is 4.5.
So they're all right there. This is why I'm so excited. So 4.5.
BYU, Bama
is also 4.5.
Okay, all right.
And then Maryland, Florida's 5.5. And then everything single digits. We have. Oh, I can't wait. What are we supposed to do the next 3 days?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna call in sick. I don't want to come to work.
Thursday.
I'm just gonna sleep. I'm just gonna try to sleep and time it. I had that. Cartman did that in South Park when the GameCube came out. I think it was the GameCube. He was it, or was it Sega Genesis? I forget. I'm getting my video.
Ebo's in the chat. Let us know.
Ebo, what was it? Ebo, if you're in the chat, let us know. Was it the GameCube or Sega Genesis where Cartman or maybe it might have been the PSP? Was it the PSP? I don't know. Cartman loves every video game console, but he tried to freeze himself. He tried to just do a caveman move and freeze himself until I want to do that with these games on Thursday. I just want to go into a coma and wake up on Thursday and watch ball. Bama St. Mary's was just a gross basketball game. St. Mary's was they can't shoot threes. They were missing layups as well. I mean, shout out to Bama, I guess, for advancing to the Sweet 16. I'm not even trying to. This isn't even shtick to be a Bosco here. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about all that. Whatever. That's over there. I was just we were watching the game and I'm trying to get invested in it, and it was just I mean, if St. Mary's, if you're gonna play slow and you're gonna dictate tempo, you gotta be able to knock down open shots. That's part of the thing, and that's why, as a guy who defended Tony Bennett and Virginia teams through the years, and everyone said they play too slow and it's ugly, and maybe for them it was. I always felt like at least they got open shots, and when they got open shots, they'd make them, and it was a very methodical approach to the game, and St. Mary's had that, but then. Boy, they were blowing so many layups and open shots and mid everything. It felt like I don't know what they shot from the field.
They shot 24 of 70, Mark. 24.
It felt worse than that. It was just a disgusting. It felt way worse than that, to be honest with you. I would have guessed that they were worse than Arkansas.
I think what happens is
3 for 14 from 3 for St. Mary's. Yeah, just a gross game, but yeah, Bama's on to the Sweet 16, third time in a row.
Shout out! You have to give shout out to Nate Oates. You do.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know the official stat, but I think something along the lines that they had been to the second weekend one time since before he got there, and now they're there for.
He's the program. The program that there is no Alabama basketball in my mind until he got there, and he's made Alabama basketball what it is. Awesome game coming with BYU Bama. That's gonna be so fun. That whole regional is awesome. The Duke, Arizona, BYU, Bama. I cannot fucking wait.
You
for that.
have to guess the total for Bama, BYU.
Cannot wait for that. I'm bad at this.
You have to. And just me saying it shows you that it's going to be.
Well,
little mental
Like
math.
170 something, 170, 170.
174 and a half.
174.
Titus, that's like if you're going to hit
That's
the over,
bonkers,
that's 90 to 85.
That's bonkers.
I can't wait.
Certified bonkers. What a day of hoops, man. What a day of hoops. We got buzzer beaters. We got controversies. We got, no Cinderellas, but Arkansas fans are like, what about us? But, you're a power conference team, and you're coached by John Calipari, and you have future NBA players. You're not a Cinderella. You belong. Come on. What are we talking about?
Do you want us to call you Cinderella?
Come on. What are you talking about? You belong.
Slipper?
No Cinderellas, and we got all our 1 seeds left. Where are we at with the seeds? What do we got? We got all the 1s. We got 3 2s. St. John's is out, obviously. All 3 2s won.
Mm-hmm.
But
Bama,
St.
Michigan State, and Tennessee.
How many 3s we got? We got Texas Tech,
Kentucky.
Kentucky. We got 2 3s, and then the 4s, Arizona and Purdue,
3 4s
and Maryland. 3 4s.
5.
All right, so yeah, so not that much damage on the top 16 teams.
Really, not at all.
Really, not that many. Very chalky bracket like we anticipated it being, which sets up for some banger Sweet 16, banger Elite 8s. Every game from here is going to be awesome. I am sad though because I woke up this morning and had the realization that I just woke up and like turned to my wife and just said I can't believe that I just say these things to her, and she's just like, I don't give a why are you telling me? And I'm like, all right, I'll save it for the show. So now we're here. I'm going to tell you guys. I woke up and had the realization that there are only 15 games remaining in this tournament, which is fewer games than we got on day 1 of the tournament.
Oh,
You think about it that way?
That really
That's
puts it
on
in
Thursday and Friday. There were 16 games each on Thursday and Friday, and now the entirety of the tournament from here is only 15 games. It's fewer games than we got on day 1. And when you think about it that way, it's like, damn, it goes fast, man. It goes fast.
What are we
I
missing
appreciate
so
these
far,
moments.
Mark? We finally got our buzzer beater today. Is there anything? I think we've got our buzzer beater. We got our coaches. We got our low seeds. What do you want to see?
Just more. Give me more.
Okay.
Give me fucking more. I want to see.
We haven't had an overtime. Not one overtime game.
Yeah, overtime would be awesome. I think I don't know. I think it has kind of checked every box. I think it'd just be more of it. I think we need more buzzer beaters now. We need more. I do think that the UConn Florida checked the box of like the back and forth and the tension. You just got to, I don't know. It's one of those things that you can. It doesn't have to be a buzzer beater. It doesn't have to be a double-digit seed upsetting. It's you know it when you feel it, And I think there were times in the first couple rounds we were sort of forcing it, and we're like, UConn or not UConn, Gonzaga Houston was like a moment where you're like trying to force it to make, and we thought Gonzaga might have, and then they didn't even get a shot off. There's a lot of that. And now we're at a point where I don't think we're going to have to force it. I think these games are going to be awesome. And even if all the 1 seeds and 2 seeds continue to win, that's just setting up for it. It was a top-heavy regular season. I told you it was going to be a chalky bracket. It is a chalky bracket, and I have no problems with that because these games are going to be absolutely awesome. So, yeah, that's the show. We have one more thing to do before we get out of here. Cody, are you ready for some redemption?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can I get a drum roll in the chat, because this is
drum roll in the chat.
Drum roll in the chat for Cody. Cody yesterday had the assignment of making a roast of McNeese. I personally thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I mean it was awful. It wasn't funny, but that's what made it funny.
Right.
And Cody after the show, or maybe you said it on there. I don't remember. You said there wasn't a lot of meat on the bone. Like, I don't know much about McNeese. I don't want to pile on this manager kid too much. So you're like, there wasn't enough material to work with, right? That was your point of view.
Yep.
So we said, I think we did say that on the show. So I said, you know what? Come back tomorrow. The world is your oyster. Take your shot at any team that lost, anything you saw, any player, it doesn't have to be a team that lost, just anything in the world of college basketball that you saw on Sunday. Write some roast jokes. Bring them Sunday night. This is your shot at redemption.
They're drumming in the chat.
We got drum
They're
rolls coming.
drumming in
All right.
the chat.
So that's it. Here we go. Cody's redemption starts right now.
All right, so the Iowa State versus Ole Miss game reminded me of Star Wars. It was the rebels and the clones.
Okay.
Timeout.
All right.
Are we allowed to talk in between?
I guess. Yeah. Go ahead.
That
you got thoughts?
Like
Sure.
that
Break
was
that down.
Like that is true. That was true.
Clones.
My question: are you throwing this out there in any specific order? Like, was that like, hey, this is my best one?
I think my issue is the delivery, because I think you could punch that up a little bit and just, if you would have been like Rebels, clones, what is it? Star Wars?
You didn't get the joke. Let me do it again.
No, I got the joke.
The Psy clones.
What's the sigh?
I went.
Oh.
Come on, man.
I need to play that back.
That's on you.
Is he on a different level that I'm not on?
There is a possibility that he just absolutely went over our heads.
Run that back for me.
Man, the Iowa State versus Ole Miss game reminded me of Star Wars. It was the Rebels and the clones.
Oh, so this... I don't know if it's better or worse.
That was...
But I love it.
That was...
I love it. I can't get
not
enough of this.
funny, and that was hilarious.
Appreciate that.
Okay, moving on. Next.
Colorado State must be allergic to dairy the way they let DQ run through them.
Great.
That's good.
Great.
Good.
Best one of the weekend.
That's good. That's good.
Very good.
I like that one.
UConn wasn't playing as a unit down the stretch at all. Somebody tell Hurley you can't win games by playing solo ball.
Okay. Judge that.
Are these roasts or are these like rap
I was
lyrics?
say that was the second one was elite. That one was funny, but solo ball is great.
I mean,
yeah, he is great. He hit a bit, but no, it's good. It's good. I like where your head's at. That one was good. That one was good. I like that.
Way worse. All right. Clifford for Colorado State scored 21 points. I guess he was trying to be the big dog in this game.
That's not really a roast. That's a compliment, but I like it.
All right.
That's good.
Everyone's hitting me up. Everyone's asking, "Hey Cody, did you watch the Baylor Blue Devils game tonight?" Yeah. Does a bear duke in the woods?
I don't get the joke.
They play Duke. Yeah, they shit in the wood. It's not. I mean,
The Baylor Bears and the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Does a bear shit in the woods? Duke.
yeah.
Oh no. I get that. I got that. I got that.
No, you're on fire. You're on fire.
right,
Keep
all
going.
right.
Keep going. Keep going.
The Spartans reminded me of early 2000s internet the way MS was in the paint.
Great joke. That was a good one.
All right, I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Arizona must have thought they were in Brandon Walker's Jeep. They were the way they were fighting the Ducks.
Okay.
No, that one didn't do it for me.
All right. Let's try this one on for size. Maryland's headed to the Sweet 16. It's easy to say. Maryland might be coming out of their shell.
Because the
Yeah,
turtle.
yeah. All right.
The turtle. The terrapin.
Am I losing you guys?
Yeah. Go ahead.
People want to say Derek Queen traveled. No. The only travel he's doing is from Seattle to San Francisco for the Sweet 16.
God damn it.
All right, do the Cyclones
Let's
one again.
go back to
Do the Cyclones.
do a good one.
All
Do
right,
one last banger.
last one and I'm
End on a high note.
I don't know if it's a high note, but we'll try. Alabama versus St. Mary's. Young blood in the gals? That sounds like me headed to brunch with the ladies. All right, let's wrap this up.
I mean, unquestionably better than last night. Unquestionably. We might have to do this every show. This just might have to be a thing every show. I don't know. I'm just let's
A
just
couple
end the
of
show.
those
Let's
hit.
just end the show. A couple of them hit. Like it's not what I expected, but
MS
that's why
Paint made me laugh out loud.
say that one again.
Do the MS Paint one more time.
Yeah, one sec. Let me pull it up. The Spartans reminded me of early 2000s internet the way MS was in the paint.
But wait, who's MS?
Michigan State.
Oh, the way.
Like they dominated the glass and the paint, maybe? That's how I interpreted it.
Okay, the Spartans remind the way MS was in the paint. Okay, all right, yeah, that checks out. MS.
Danny lost. UConn Husk D's. Let's end it.
All right, end the show.
All right, goodbye. Hey, we'll be back Thursday. We're no more shows this week. What's the point? We'll be back Thursday night though. We'll be going live on Thursday night after all the Sweet 16 games. Which tell the people the slate. Tell the people the slate of games. It's what, East and West. We get Duke, Zona.
Yeah, on
BYU, Bama, Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, Arkansas. Is it those four?
Yeah, on Thursday. Sorry, I just lost it right here.
I think it's those four. I think it's East-West.
Thursday night we'll have BYU, Bama, Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Duke, and then Arkansas, Texas Tech. Followed by Friday, we're going Ole Miss, Michigan State. Round 3, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan, Auburn, and Purdue, Houston.
15 games to go till we get a national champion. Savor them all. We'll be back Thursday night after the Sweet 16 games to talk about them. We will see you guys then. Good night, everybody.